On last Friday's show, we talked about David Menzies. In particular, David Menzies, he received a ticket in Peterborough for not wearing a mask and shaking people's hands and laughing with people like Randy Hillier and Maxime Bernier. And so he received a ticket for violating mask laws. He then, when we covered it last Friday, went back to Peterborough because he heard that this CBC program was filming in Peterborough called Murdoch Mysteries. And so he goes to the set of Murdoch Mysteries to try to catch people laughing and shaking hands without wearing masks. He couldn't find a single example of this, and yet he still called the police to report that laughing and not mask wearing was happening on the set of Murdoch Mysteries. So where this video picks up is he's going to receive mail from fans about the clip that we played Friday, and he's going to respond to it. He said some things here that I thought were particularly interesting, which is why I wanted to watch it. And then when this is done, we'll watch his latest clip, which is I guess there was a quarry in some rural Canadian town that now has a fence around it, and he thinks that that's bad for some reason. So we'll get to that when we're done. But since this is a segment about David Menzies breaking the law, I figured we would start here and see how it goes. So I think this is a good place to start. So the first 3 minutes and 40 seconds here, I'm not going to play because it's just like clips from what happened when he was on the set of Murdoch Mysteries harassing people. And we don't need to re-watch that. You can go watch the video of that. It's up on our YouTube. We don't need to show it again. But here it goes.
So, spoiler alert, folks, not a single member of the cast and crew of Murdoch Mysteries received a ticket while filming last week in Peterborough, even though there was handshaking and laughter galore.
Handshaking and laughter galore. A reminder, he provided zero evidence that occurred. Zero. It never happened, didn't have evidence, okay? But he claims that it did, and he claims he got some tip that there was some scene in the script that was happening. But even if it was in the script, there's laws where they can be exempt for those kinds of things. It is what it is. But he still didn't get any footage that actually occurred, right?
How odd, because back in April, yours truly and PPC leader Maxime Bernier and MPP Randy Hillier, we were all given tickets for committing such egregious crimes against humanity as handshaking and laughing. Funny that there was about 1,000 people.
I just love the idea, too, crimes against humanity. Like, receiving a ticket is the equivalent of, like, a parking infraction. Like, if I get a parking infraction ticket, if I get a ticket, I don't go, "What is this? What is this bylaw, officer? Are you targeting me for crimes against humanity?" Trudeau making smiling illegal is basically his only good political move. Oh, dear Lord.
People at that rally. But by sheer coincidence, I guess, Peterborough police were only handing out tickets that day to media and political types who have now been deemed persona non grata by the establishment. So maybe that April ticket writing crusade had less to do with public safety and more to do with politics. And naturally, a CBC production.
So they want to say that it was like political targeting. In the podcast episode that we just released today that you can go listen to, we play, so I guess Ezra calls the officer who issued David Menzies the ticket. We talked about it. But there's an element in which I think there was like maybe some politics involved here, in the sense that you have a crowd full of people doing the exact same thing and not wearing masks, but they ticketed mostly the organizers and stuff like this. Now, they want to claim that this is political, but I don't think that's necessarily like inappropriately targeting them. So there's an element in which, like, they said, like, we're understaffed. They don't have the resources to make sure that every single person got a ticket. And sure, I mean, the officer analogized that to, like, You can't arrest everyone for speeding because you're not watching every car all the time to know that you're giving everyone the ticket, right? There's resources involved in all of that. But the other element is that, like, part of what was issued in the ticket was that David Menzies and Bernier and Hillier are all people who kind of are like quasi organizers of this community. And in that respect, there's like an additional harm there, right? So it's not just that they were like not wearing a mask. It was the fact that they were promoting and advocate, like organizing these events in some capacity, right?
Gets to break the rules because, well, our state broadcaster is so beloved by Justin Trudeau, aka CBC's sugar daddy. Oh, to quote the Wicked Witch of the West,
I do want to say the CBC was funded under Stephen Harper too. Like I doubt if I go back then we would hear any story about Stephen Harper being like the sugar daddy for the media or some capacity like this. They'll still complain that somehow the media is unfairly covering conservatives.
meltdown mode. What a world! What a world! In any event, you had plenty to say about the double standards and hypocrisy that were on display in that banana republic known as Peterborough last week. Sheldon Berg writes, David Menzies should get an award and $1 million for doing this reporting. The CBC should get masked permanently, never to broadcast their fourth grade TV shows and crazy postmodern propaganda again. Well,
crazy postmodern propaganda on the CBC. What the fuck is this person talking about? The crazy postmodern propaganda of Schitt's Creek? I like, that's the other thing too, is they like to talk about how like the CBC sucks. I don't know, like Corner Gas was a pretty big show. Schitt's Creek, like there's shows that do well on the CBC. Not to say they all do, but like who cares? But yeah, crazy postmodern propaganda. Is it because they make, I wonder if part of this is because the CBC is kind of known for taking on more like diverse shows. So you get things like Little Mosque on the Prairie. Isn't there another one, Kim's Convenience? Was that CBC? And Schitt's, like, well, I don't know if Schitt's Creek fits into that. The Red Green Show was all propaganda. Like, is that the postmodern thing? Yeah, what was postmodern about the Red Green Show? Talking about how men can change. Oh, okay, yeah. But they fixed everything with duct tape. Couldn't you fix the problem with CRT with just duct tape? I feel so old hearing that show again. I'm not even going to fill people in. If you don't know what the Red Green Show is, my guess, Vieto, if you're listening, do you know what the Red Green Show is? Also, I think they did bring back Corner Gas. I think that it was a cartoon, and it's now done. But I didn't even know they had a cartoon version of this. I was driving in the car the other day, and I heard that this was the final season of the Corner Gas cartoon, and I was like, this is the first time I've ever heard of the cartoon. No wonder they're on a final season. But yeah, crazy postmodern propaganda.
well, hey, thanks, Sheldon, but we live in Justin Trudeau's Canada. The only people getting checks in the millions of dollars are former terrorists like Omar Khadr.
Like, they love the Omar Khadr line. Love it. And every time I have to bring up, Omar Khadr was tortured in Guantanamo. Our government, under Stephen Harper, allowed this person to get tortured. He was arrested when he was 15 in Afghanistan. He was sent there by his parents. The supposed evidence that they claim he was involved in killing of an American soldier is almost non-existent. He wasn't tried. He was just sent to Guantanamo Bay to be tortured. So, when finally we got him back into Canada, Khadr sued reasonably because of the way he was treated. And rather than fight it, which would have cost even more than the money that they're worried about, if the government would have fought it, they would have been like, oh good, we wasted millions upon millions of tens of millions of dollars fighting this thing, and they probably wouldn't have complained whatsoever. But the fact that our government settled and gave Cotter $10 million, that is like the biggest sin in Menzies and Ezra's books. Like, it's the worst thing that we've ever done because they constantly bring it up. Ezra wrote a whole fucking book about it, and it's like, why does this fucking matter? It's so stupid. Like, honestly, I'll say it right now, Cotter deserved the $10 million. I am happy as a taxpayer that some of my tax money went to go paying out that lawsuit. I'm completely okay and cool with that.
James B. writes, anyone notice the cops were not wearing masks inside the cop station? Oh, we noticed, James B. And yet again,
He was behind
it's one law for me when it comes to those who are enforcing the law. So much for leading by example, eh? Razier writes, though CBC actors seem horribly humorless and depressed, David is a legend for actually reporting this to 911. I'm laughing my ass off. Funniest thing is that the dispatcher actually took the call seriously.
So first, on the people being humorless and depressed, David Menzies was harassing them. Like, yeah, of course they're going to be humorless and depressed. But, and they're working. I mean, like, here's the thing. They're working. Let them fucking work. Maybe they were getting in their zen so they could, like, do their scene, like, in character. Scene, you know? But now we're going to get this thing. The funniest, so the 9/11 respondent taking the thing seriously, okay? Now, if you remember when we played the actual clip last Friday, I commented that this is illegal, right? And part of what's illegal about it, I think it's Section 140 in the Criminal Code, is that you can't make false reports on someone knowingly. Especially if the cops take it seriously and act on it, okay?
You know, you're correct, Razier. I thought I was going to receive a tongue lashing from the dispatcher. You know, what do you mean you're observing people laughing and shaking hands? Get a life, will you? But no. My call was received as a legit COVID grievance in Peterborough. This city must have a disproportionate number of COVID Karens ratting out their neighbors, and the Peterborough police are only too happy to write tickets for such bogus offenses. Unless you're employed by the CBC, of course.
So I want to just, if you didn't pick up on that, he just admitted that the call he made was not legitimate. So he's admitting to making a false report, which is exactly what that fucking law said. He admits it. The whole thing was not legitimate. He was making a scene, and he's like, and they took it seriously. So not only is he admitting the phone call was not legitimate, that he made the whole fucking thing up, he's admitting that they took it seriously over the phone. So if anything, he's literally admitting right now on this segment, not just based on what we saw, he's admitting that he broke the law here on his fucking show. It's incredible. And I don't even think he's going to be ticketed for this part of it. What's new?
Pathetic. BK writes, LOL, Dan McLean has the quick wit of someone who was just repeatedly smacked up the head with a 2x4. How is a man with such low cognitive function earning that kind of salary? Indeed, BK, this staff sergeant is raking in more than $140,000 per year plus benefits for handing out tickets to those who are laughing and shaking hands. Never has so much been paid for so little.
Honestly, I don't care what he was doing. He should not have a job, and we should defund the police. So unlike David, I don't complain about the one cop who annoyingly wrote David a ticket and go, oh, he's getting paid so much. I want them all defunded. Fuck all the cops who are getting paid money. Get rid of all of them. And then we will all be happy. Barbara K? What about Barbara K? Did I miss something? Did I miss a Barbara K? Oh, BK! BK, is it Barbara K? I don't know. I didn't even pick up on that. Man, if that was actually Barbara and she's writing mail to the rebel as BK, that is amazing.
Deplorable Island Girl writes, David, you're one of the reasons I love Rebel News. Please, please do not ever leave. Thanks. Well, Deplorable Island Girl, your wish is my command. Besides, where would I go? Mobster Hipster writes, LMAO at the mask off smoking area. So you take your mask off to smoke cigarettes that destroy your lungs while you are afraid of so-called super bad respiratory virus. LOL, this is their science? Indeed,
This is their science. It's a fucking movie set. No one said that you have to be a rational actor on a movie set. Like, I get it. Smoking causes cancer. It's a little silly to have an area where you take off your mask that's there to protect you from a disease, only to smoke, which will increase your risk of lung cancer. Like, I get it. It's a bit silly, but it's a movie set. That, like, people are probably already addicted to those cigarettes before the pandemic hits. Like, I don't know. It's just a silly hypocrisy gotcha for, like, what reason, you know?
Mobster Hipster, most of the people on that set seemed to be relatively young and healthy, meaning that there was virtually zero risk they would be done in by the Wuhan virus. But smoking cigarettes, well, that's ingesting a product that, when used as directed, will shorten or even end your life. Genius! And First Pro JKH writes, I used to avoid Rebel News because I was always taught you are racist and fake news.
They are, in fact,
now
racist
I realize
and fake
the
news.
people who were telling me that are the real racists and fake news. Keep doing what you were doing, Rebel News. You guys are a national treasure. You know what?
They got me. I'm the fake news. I'm the racist. I've been called out. Should send in messages trying to mess with them. Ezra doesn't nearly pay you enough. I wish he would pay you proper respect. You make all the best content around. You know, I think at some point we should try to write tricks, like try to write things in ways to get them to talk about them, and then we could laugh at the fact that was our thing. But they have to be like written in such a way that they would get published, but not enough that they would promote their audience to go deeper down the rabbit hole in some way, you know? Some sort of balancing act there, but like at least then we'll know it's like that's our message. Or maybe like create funny puns with our names that they won't necessarily pick up on. You know, fun things like that. But I do love this. It's like I used to not watch you because people would tell me that you're racist and fake news. What? Like, I'll tell you, I've been covering Rebel now for over a year, and I can say without a doubt that they are both racist and often say things that are not true. In fact, I've seen probably several things tonight that were both racist and not true, and we witnessed them on this stream. So there's that. But I don't know. People's minds turn to mush, apparently.
First Pro JKH, your letter is a national treasure. Although we still have another 6 months to go until this year is toast, your letter is my favorite letter of 2021 thus far. Invariably, when I get into a discussion with those who dislike Rebel News, I always ask them what sins we have committed, and they can never offer a tangible answer. Like yourself.
Downplaying the attack in London, downplaying the indigenous genocide in this country, promoting or defending Derek Chauvin. Must I go on? Condemning Black Lives Matter, encouraging people to, or not encouraging, but at least suggesting that they can understand when protesters decide. Actually, you know what? This should have been something that I brought up with the arson attacks, which is they have several times on their show said that they understand and fully get it when people decide to take their trucks and run over union protesters on a picket line and run over indigenous activists, either when they were doing the rail blockades or when they were actively doing their thing on Wet'suwet'en. They said, oh, well, like, you know, they're blocking a road, so like if someone just happens to plow their truck through them and kill them, well, that's what you get for blocking a road. So, yeah, you're terrible. You're terrible people. And we'll continue to call you that. What's the news, Jody? The news is David Menzies is a piece of shit. That's the news with a Z. Imperial News.
They've been told to hate Rebel News, and they do so without even watching a single minute of content on Rebel News. But you, First Pro, JKH rather, you have pulled back the curtain and discovered the truth. Welcome aboard and congratulations.
I have probably watched more Rebel News than anyone should. I have honestly listened an entire year's worth of Rebel News, okay? And watched so much of their YouTube content. I've digested so much of it. And I still think that they're racist and fake news. But that applies to everyone here. Hey, I mean, it's true. I mean, you, especially if you listen to the podcast, you do get the bits that I regurgitate. But, the fact that it's too much applies to everyone. Yes, true. But, yeah, dear Lord. So, I did want to end on a sort of continuation of the David Menzies thread of this. Which, again, I mean, it's more of just a silly story. And so, like, why not end on a silly note?
You know.
But to sum this, or at least intro this, is there was a quarry that set up a barbed wire fence. And David Menzies is like, how dare they put a barbed wire fence around this quarry? And so we're going to check it out. I have also heard too much through you. Hey, there's an element in which it's a public service. I mean, there's a lot of these talking points and shit that, like, now are bigger. Like, it comes from this. It's important to keep your sights on the enemy and know what they're doing,
Now here's another interesting sign, and it reads...
Oh yeah, let's skip past this, because usually they do their stupid bumper reel that they're going to come back to this shit anyways.
David Menzies for Rebel News here in front of Harold Quarry, just north of Stirling, Ontario. Well, folks, I can tell you what an incredible July summer day it is here in this region. It's like 33 degrees in the shade. It's so hot, I saw a dog chasing a cat, and they were both walking. Hey, enough with the bad jokes, but I'll tell you something that's...
Was that a joke? I don't even think that was a joke.
Really not funny. For almost a century, this waterhole in the quarry has served as a place of recreation for people in this community. People would go here to swim, they'd go here to get drinking water, they'd go here to get water.
Drinking water? It's so hot, joke still. Drinking water? Who goes to a quarry hole for drinking water? If anything, it wouldn't that be bad? I thought like most quarries, because of the mining process that like created the quarries in the first place, it's usually bad to drink water from that. No? Am I wrong on that? Feels right to me.
For other needs. And then just a few weeks ago, this fence surrounded the quarry. A fence, I should point out, that is topped with barbed.
I will. Nothing like, I don't know if you can make it out on the stream here, but like those crumbling rock faces don't look too let's say inviting. They look like a lot of people could get hurt on that. But that's do not drink quarry water. I know, right? Maybe they built it because they found out people were drinking from it. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. That is super weird.
Wire, and suddenly no one is allowed here. There's even trespassing signs and no parking signs. And what was once a cherished summer place to go to, and in winter too, when the water would freeze, it was a place where people would skate. Well, it's off limits. And the reason...
I will say, even the color of it doesn't look inviting. Like, there's something about the sort of, like, greenish blue hue that makes me think, like, the thing about, like, this quarry, too, it's so small and tepid. Like, the water is just sitting there. It's not moving. It's like, I don't know. there's elements there that just strike me as it's probably not good even to swim in for various reasons. But I don't know.
Reason is safety. Evidently, the insurer for the town said that there were serious potential liability issues with this swimming hole at the quarry. Now, I'm not sure if they're worried about people drowning. I'm not sure if this is a COVID thing. But nevertheless, the mayor and the council, who I've reached out to, by the way, and they haven't returned my email, the town said, okay, we'll wall it off with an almost $50,000 expenditure so that on a hot summer day like this, nobody can go swimming. Now, recently, about 50 people violated the rule. The Ontario Provincial Police came. They didn't lay any charges, but they had a talking to the people violating this no swimming rule. And it is just inexplicable, folks. I mean...
So we'll get to the inexplicableness of this. Wait, so the private property owner doesn't want to be held liable? It's not. So I don't think it's private property. I think what's happening is that there's a company that insures the city for things like this. And the insurance company that insures the city for things, I guess, people who injure themselves for whatever reason in the city, said that this thing existing without having the fence around it is a insurance risk for the city, and so therefore they were going to increase like the charges for the city's insurance policy if they didn't fence this thing off. So I mean, like, there's an interesting debate here. I want to, like, because he points out the fact that like this cost them $50,000 to erect, which sounds right to me just in terms of labor costs, material costs, hammering this thing in. So yeah, like, yeah, sure, okay, it gets up to $50,000, but maybe they would be saving more on their insurance policy by putting this thing in place, right? I don't know. I mean, like, I'm not on city council. I imagine that would be like a hard thing to deal with. But at the same time, it's like I want to know like what the argument is here, because like it seems basically to be like some sort of appeal to tradition, which is like people used to swim in this hole forever. So therefore, we must swim in the hole for all of eternity. And anything preventing us from swimming in said hole is an affront to our values and is the collapse of Western civilization. Like, I don't know what, like, why people get so up in arms about shit like this. You know, it's like, okay, maybe that was like the watering hole that you would go to swim in all the time, and now you can't. Like, okay, like that sucks. I'm sorry for you, but like, I don't know what to say to that. You know,
a playground has potential serious liability issues should municipalities all across our great dominion tear down the swings and the monkey bars and whatnot.
So cities actually do this, but they don't just tear down like the monkey bars and the swings and whatever. They make the playgrounds more safer. And so you've probably seen this around some playgrounds where they no longer have like concrete floors underneath the monkey bars. There'll be things like wood chips or like kind of like this like rubber like recycled plastic stuff to make it more softer landing if the kids fall and stuff like this. This is what city councils do to protect against certain liabilities from these things, you know? So, like, there's some truth to, like, yes, cities do, in fact, do that. Honestly, just erect a sign that says the rock faces are dangerous and water potentially poison and let them go. Don't need insurance. I don't know enough about the law to say whether or not they could have just put a do not, or swim at your own risk or something, or if this is such a potential liability. So here's the thing. He's going to claim that no one has died in this particular quarry, and that might be true, but like quarries are generally a risk. I like when I was trying to do some background research, especially larger quarries, people die there quite frequently, which is why like quarries all over the place are being blocked off like this. This one isn't as high. I think a lot of people get damaged from falling from heights and hurting themselves. Another issue is that often there's like steep drop-offs. So again, this looks like a small hole, but some quarries go down like 60 feet. And so you're walking and it's like knee deep, and then all of a sudden it plummets to 60 feet, right? And so people can get sucked under and like other stuff like this. And so there's general risks that occur with quarries that kill people yearly, and that's why insurance companies price these things so high. But I mean, like, granted, this doesn't look to be one of those quarries, but that's probably what's going on here. And I don't know, like, if anything, the problem here is the insurance company. But I don't think David, throughout this whole piece, makes the insurance company the focus, right? He's going to get pissed off at city council, obviously.
So that nobody gets a sprained ankle. Well, in any event, one of the things I want to find out is that last Monday, when the
what we need is David Menzies with two replaced hips to walk around this perimeter. That's what we need.
Those demonstrators / swimmers came by. How did they get into the quarry? I mean, this town is really serious. That is razor sharp barbed wire. So I'm just wondering how they got in. The fence, as you can see, it has 3 locks on it. So they're not fooling around. I'm going to walk around the perimeter and see if there's a hole in the fence, because you know what, folks? I brought my swimming trunks and I could sure go for a dip right now.
What's with this fucking music, too? My God.
Well, there's another fence here.
Oh no, David is prevented from getting on private property.
So I'm going to try the other way around, walking along the highway.
Riveting footage, everyone. This is riveting, cutting-edge footage. We got drones.
As you can see,
like,
this
Lord
is
of the
where
Rings
people would
music.
park, but that's off the charts too, because
The drone operator.
we've got a
is
new
Mocha, by the
gate
way.
here, and naturally the gate is locked. Wow, talk about a no fun zone, eh? De rigueur, no trespassing signs.
David almost gets hit by a car.
Now this is interesting. Here is a sign and it reads, "Water is a human right." Well, you know what?
That sign being there just feels blasphemous to me. I don't know. I mean, that is usually adopted by indigenous activists fighting the pipelines. And so to have it because they fenced off this quarry seems a bit insensitive, I guess.
I would agree with that. Without water, we cannot survive.
And yet, so without water, we cannot survive. And yet, Rebel News promotes pipelines all over the place and gets mad at environmental activists who fight for clean water all the fucking time. Embarrassing.
And to fence off this water like this, what a travesty. Now, this is interesting. I see another layer of fencing here, which might suggest that this is where
David
the
Menzies
original
on the case.
fencing was clipped open to let people get down the hill and into the quarry for some water recreation, but I don't know. I'll keep walking. Now here's another interesting sign, and it reads, "This fence cost Sterling Rawdon taxpayers $48,753. Can you imagine that, folks? After going through all this misery in the pandemic and all the economic havoc it has created, somehow this little township has found almost 50 grand to spend on a fence to further make people's lives miserable."
Like, I love that you can hear the drone sound in the fucking footage. Like, here's an idea. If you're going to film this with a drone, have the drone far enough back. You have the microphone. Like, you don't need the drone this close for, like, the projection. Or just fucking, if you're going to film this part, walk up closely and film. Instead, we get to hear the fucking drone sounds. But also, I love it's like, oh yeah, the pandemic, we've had to lock down, people's lives have been so miserable, and somehow this fence is just the nail in the coffin. That, like, everyone was just, like, sort of miserable, but now this? Oh no, not a fence. What are we gonna do? They put a fence up. Oh no. What secrets are the town hiding? Perhaps this water was the mineral property to cure diseases like COVID. Yeah. Oh my god. It's a magical pool, you know? Now, I mean, with that music playing, like, this is the end destination of a quest of some kind in Skyrim.
Unbelievable. I think there's enough space in between those two fence posts there for me to squeeze through, and I'll continue walking, looking for hopefully a hole to get into the water.
How can I break the law and cross this fence? Yeah, squeeze. Oh yeah, you got it. Oh yeah.
Whoa. All right.
He's out of breath. This is amazing.
See, there's a detached sign here. It says no diving or jumping shallow water. Really is a no fun zone here. Wow, I just don't see any access.
No diving in shallow water. This is a no fun zone. David Menzies is pro diving in shallow water. You know, we just can't have fun anymore. Remember when kids could just dive in shallow water and like snap their necks? That was so great back in the 50s when we could do that when life was just free and great. Let's all get brain damage in the pool today, kids. I'm David Menzies. Why is he looking like a ripoff of Doug Dimmadome? I don't know who Doug Dimmadome is. Owner of the Dimsdale Dimmadome. I don't even know what that is. The risk is what makes it fun. Shows bravery. For what it's worth, my brother, we went to a pool and he dove into the shallow end and like split open his head and had to get stitches. It is not fun. Like, there's a reason why they have no diving in the shallow end. It's not cool, you know. It's from Fairly Odd Parents. I'll send a picture in your Twitter DMs. Okay, cool. But yes, there's a reason why you have no diving in the shallow end, David. I'm sorry that it ruins your fun.
Access to the water. I'm having deja vu all over again. Do you remember, folks, last summer?
No, I don't know.
When we went to Coburg, and do you remember how the town council there desecrated their beautiful beach? Here, check out this footage from last summer.
Hey, how does freedom feel like?
Oh, I love it. The water's beautiful.
How does freedom feel like? These people are children. They're fucking children. My God. I tried, Miranda, for what it's worth, I tried clicking your image. It will not load for some reason. So I don't know if you want to resend me a link, but that did not work.
Oh my God. What am I under arrest for? What am I under arrest for?
We're breaking the restrictions.
Freedom's got to go full tilt. If I shouldn't be getting arrested for this, I shouldn't be having to be stopped by a police officer and put in handcuffs.
Hi, Councillor Beattie. How you doing?
I'm not commenting.
Oh, no? Don't you think this is a great day that people are reclaiming the beach?
Cheers. Let's go.
Why is the eastern beach closed off, Councillor, and not the western one?
If you want to have an official comment, you can contact the mayor's office or communications manager Ashley Purdy, and we'd be happy to answer any of your questions.
But you are a councillor, right?
I was just out as a citizen today, enjoying my time with my partner, and I have no comment at this time.
But you did vote for the beach to be closed, correct?
Everything is on the record. The majority of council with recorded votes recorded for the pier to be closed.
Okay.
And
I think that's a yes. So, and it's till August 31st. That's the entire summer, isn't it, Councillor?
I'm declining comment.
Okay. Well, why?
A reminder: this was back when the pandemic was like in full force, and they were worried. And yeah, they closed. This was last summer, and of course they closed off the beach. You know, makes sense to me. It is what it is, you know? We are in a global pandemic, and they have to make a fucking big stink about it all the fucking time. Swimming pools are no fun zones. This no diving thing has been a pervasive in society. Rebel has a new campaign to bring back fun. You know, they should start a new website, divingintheshallowzone.com. That dude just assaulted my gas. Or at least, at the very least, he's definitely harassing her when she's just trying to have a ride with her partner, you know?
Would you decline comment? I mean, we have a democracy here. You've enacted your rights as council to take away the beach from the citizens here. Why won't you talk about that?
Cheers, guys. Have a nice day.
I stood with
Oh, sorry, Council. I couldn't hear you. Oh, by the way, that fence.
My God. I will say, I understand the don't even get involved. But if I was that city councilor, I would have definitely had that urge to be like, you know what? Go fuck yourself. That's probably why I could never be city councilor. I would just straight up tell David Menzies to go fuck himself. Actually, I don't know if that's the case. I think if I was a city councilor and I did something that would piss off David and he comes to harass me, that I would have a good time trolling with David. I would find some way to enjoy that experience. Maybe I would just start taking on his personality and be like, "What? How will you tell me about that time when you got bit by a dog? How did it feel when the dog ripped into your flesh? Are you kidding me?" It'd be tons of fun.
It's back up in Coburg right now for this summer too. Coburg Town Council, they are truly the Grinches who stole summertime.
Oh, so we got this is the character I am unaware of. Whatever this is. What was it called? Dimmadome, Dimsdale, Dimmadome Doug? I don't even know what this is from. Powerpuffs? It looks like Powerpuff animation or some sort of one of those similarly animated cartoons. What cartoon is this from? What is this? Yeah, I guess the hat is approaching David Menzies' similarity. I guess David Menzies doesn't have the stash, but everything else checks out. Fairly Odd Parents. I've never heard of the show. I'm not hip. I'm not young and hip, okay? I'm almost David Menzies in terms of only old-timey references can come out of me. What we need is
folks,
more.
We did talk to a local farmer that pulled off from the highway and spoke about this outrage. He was furious. He didn't want to come on camera in case of any repercussions. However, he told us a couple of interesting things. One is, one of the ways in which people are getting into the water is not over the fence, but if you're of a certain body type, i.e. thin, you can roll under the fence, and sure enough, my cameraman, Mocha, who can be confused with Skinny Minnie on certain days, he just went right under, no...
They fucking show it! You didn't have to, not only... So we're going to show someone going over, and then I'm specifically going to identify who it is.
Enough. My cameraman, Mocha.
Here's my cameraman, Mocha, currently in the act of committing a crime. He is trespassing right now, and we are going to film it, and I'm going to personally identify the person committing the crime, even though we didn't show his face in the footage. It could have just been anyone crawling under there, but I'm going to admit, and you can't even tell that a crime is actually taking place there. That could have been any fence, but I'm going to announce on the video that this is both Mocha and Mocha is currently committing a crime. And then we're going to post it on YouTube. Have a good day. These people are so... How many videos have we watched where Menzies or someone else is committing a crime? And they just keep doing it. All the other people in this fucking country that, get disproportionately targeted by the police. The police could just hang out with these people and just be, throwing out tickets and making, tons of buck. Not showing it might be to not self-incriminate? What? Right, so exactly. They're showing it and thus self-incriminating.
Who can be confused with Skinny Minnie on certain days, he just went right under, no problem. It would be a problem for me, I'm afraid, long winter and all. But the other way over, as the farmer pointed out, and this is what the swim-in demonstrators did, they brought ladders and they brought blankets. And you just climb up, throw a blanket over the barbed wire, and Bob's your uncle, you're into the water. And the farmer, who has lived many years here, told me there's never been a problem with this pool. It's been used for decades. You can actually fish in it. There's an Amish community that...
They don't show him going inside, so it's not a crime. I mean, yes. I mean, like, I doubt... The thing is, you do see him swing under and go under something, so it's clear he gets to the other side. They don't show it. But it's the fact that even if that was all they showed, okay, cool. You know, then, like, you could be like, look, they could do something like this, and it could be like a demonstration. But it's the fact that David is talking over it, going like, look, he climbed under the fence. Here is my colleague Mocha crawling under the fence. Describing what's occurring. You're giving the game away, even though, like, the visual evidence might not be sufficient. You now have David speaking over top of it, going, my colleague is currently committing a crime. Trespassing on this quarry that was blocked off by the city.
Is nearby. They come here for fishing. And the other thing is, what kind of injuries, what kind of fatalities have happened in the 70, or I should say 90 odd years in which this quarry has been established as a water recreation? Well, to his knowledge...
I want to say, too, there was a weird moment there where he just said the Amish come by and fish out of this hole, but, like, I'm pretty sure the Amish will have other places to fish. I don't know why this quarry in particular, if there is any fish in this quarry, whether it's necessary. I don't know, that's very weird.
About 5 years ago, there was one person, she committed suicide in this quarry. But as you know, folks, if it's a suicide, that's an intentional death. It wasn't somebody out for a swim who drowned. So I don't even think that should count. The other thing he pointed out...
Well, what a weird thing to bring up. Just what a weird thing to bring up. Somebody committed suicide in that quarry. Okay. Thanks, David Menzies, for your insightful reporting on this one single quarry in the middle of nowhere.
The fence is locked with 3 locks. The entrance to the parking lot is locked. And he noted that the fire department needs to get water from this quarry. Now, when it's an emergency, every second counts. So now the fire truck has to pull in, unlock the park gate, then pull up here, unlock the 3 locks, and then drive down to get the water. That is outrageous. That, to me, is far more of a public safety hazard than letting people swim on a hot summer day. But the COVID Karen...
What does David think is going on there? Like, I'm almost certain that what is occurring is the firefighters will bring their trucks and collect the water, like, beforehand, right? I doubt that the firefighters are going, there's a fire, so we're going to drive away from the fire to the watering hole, set our pumps in, make sure, take the time as the pumps take the water out of the watering hole, roll the shit back up, pack up our vehicle, then go and put out the fire? Or do you think they collect the water and then store it in their trucks so that they have it ready for the fire? Because I highly doubt they're going, emergency, let's take the water from the hole. I'm almost certain that doesn't happen. That would be absurd.
Here, well, that's how they roll. In any event, we're going to come back here in the days ahead. There is another swim-in demonstration planned. I'm sure those people won't be camera shy when it comes to venting about their beloved waterhole/pool being shut off. In the meantime, I'd like to reach out to Mayor Mullen and to paraphrase one of Ronald Reagan's greatest lines ever. Mayor Mullen, tear down this wall. For Rebel News, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies.
Nailed it. Fucking nailed it, David. You did it. You nailed it, David. Congratulations. I do like that these anti-mask people just stand up and be like, we are going to protest by breaking the law on this set day. So police, please come on this set day and give us tickets. We're not going to wear masks. We're not going to hide our identities. You can just come and give us tickets. We'll be at this location at this time. You're welcome to come and arrest us. And for what? For a fucking watering hole. Like, it's just amazing to me that this is what counts for conservative activism, is to get super upset about the closing of a water hole such that you stage some sort of demonstration like that. We live in fun times. My God.
Hello, my rebels. Hello, my rebels. I'm a good boy. I'm a weirdo.